Imagine this. You wake up on a quiet suburban morning, step outside for coffee, and suddenly see a man in a fake HOA security vest taking a baseball bat to your car windshield. You confront him, and before you know it, he's claiming authority, calling in buddies, and trying to intimidate you off your own property. What he doesn't know? You're not just any homeowner. You've got resources, training, and a family that doesn't back down. By the time this story ends, that fake cop will wish he never laid eyes on your driveway. The sun had barely crept over the rooftops of Willow Glen, a suburban neighborhood that prided itself on quiet, HOA-managed living. Birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and a thin morning mist hung over the driveways. I was sipping my coffee, leaning against the porch post, when the sound shattered the peace. Glass exploding, metal twisting, and the unmistakable crunch of a bat against a car windshield. I nearly dropped my mug. There, standing in my driveway, was a bulky man in a cheap-looking tactical vest with HOA Security Enforcement crudely stenciled on the front. His balding head gleamed with sweat as he raised the bat again and smashed it down onto the hood of my truck. My truck. My pride and joy. The sound of metal denting echoed like a gunshot. My jaw clenched. "Hey!" I shouted, storming down the porch steps. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" The man turned slowly, lips curling into a smug grin. His aviator sunglasses caught the morning light, making his eyes invisible. "You've violated HOA parking bylaws. This vehicle is an unauthorized eyesore. I've been instructed to handle it." I stared at him, dumbfounded. Handle it? By smashing it to pieces? My voice cracked with disbelief. "Who even are you?" He tapped the badge pinned to his vest. It was shiny, but clearly fake, the kind you could order from eBay. "HOA Security," he said, puffing his chest out. "Officer Daniels." I laughed bitterly. Yeah, right. And I'm Batman. At that, his grin disappeared. His jaw hardened. "Watch your mouth. We have authority here. You think the HOA won't back me up? You're in violation, and I'm enforcing compliance." He turned back to my truck and raised the bat again. That's when instinct kicked in. I surged forward, grabbing the handle mid-swing. The force rattled through my arm, but I held firm. For a second, we were locked in a silent battle of strength, his sunglasses reflecting my furious eyes. "Drop the bat," I growled. Instead of listening, he leaned in, his breath hot and sour. "Big mistake, cowboy. You just assaulted an officer." "Officer of what?" I shot back. "The make-believe police department?" Before he could answer, a car screeched around the corner and stopped abruptly. Two more men stepped out, dressed in the same cheap tactical vests. One carried a clipboard like some kind of bureaucratic soldier. The other held a set of handcuffs loosely in his palm. Great. Reinforcements. The first man, Daniels, smirked wide. "See? Told you. We run this neighborhood. Now you're in real trouble." The clipboard guys started barking orders. "Per HOA bylaws, Section 9, Subsection C, you're in violation. Vehicle must be removed. Property fine incoming. You've resisted enforcement. That's an additional offense." He looked like he memorized the HOA handbook front to back. I clenched my fists. "This is insane! You can't just—" "Shut him up," Daniels barked. The third guy, with the cuffs, stepped forward. He was wiry, twitchy, with the kind of energy that screamed wannabe tough guy. "Sir, place your hands behind your back. You're under HOA arrest." I almost laughed. Almost. But the sight of my truck's windshield shattered, glass glittering like ice across the driveway, kept my blood boiling. "You touch me," I said evenly, "and you'll regret it." That's when the front door opened. My daughter, Emily, stepped out. 17, sharp as a tack, stubborn as me. She froze at the sight of the men and the smashed truck. "Dad, what's going on?" Clipboard guy snapped at her. "Ma'am, go back inside. This is an enforcement matter." Her eyes narrowed. Enforcement? You just vandalized my dad's truck. Quiet, Daniels roared. He took one step toward her, one step too many. I moved without thinking, stepping between him and Emily, my chest against his. My voice dropped to a lethal calm. You lay a finger on my daughter, and I swear, fake badge or not, you won't walk off this driveway. Silence stretched. Daniel smirked again, but I could see the flicker of hesitation in his stance. And then, behind me, another voice cut through. You boys want to play cops? We all turned. Across the street, my neighbor Marcus was striding over. Marcus wasn't just any neighbor. He was a retired Army Ranger, broad shoulders, arms covered in tattoos, and a look that could curdle milk. He carried himself with the calm authority of a man who had stared death in the face more times than he could count. Daniel's smirk faltered. Because if you want to play cops, then I'll play cops too. And I don't play nice. Clipboard guy shifted nervously. Cuffs guy actually took a step back. I folded my arms. So, Officer Daniels, still want to call this an HOA arrest? The tension hung like a storm cloud. My daughter stood tall behind me, Marcus flanked my side, and those three clowns looked less like enforcers and more like scared kids caught breaking windows. But deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Not by a long shot. Because if these fakes had the audacity to smash my truck in daybreak, they were desperate, and desperate men do stupid things. And I was ready for every one of them. Marcus's voice hung in the air like thunder. Daniels, clipboard guy, and cuffs boy all shifted uncomfortably, but the fake confidence hadn't fully drained from their faces yet.
All right, Daniels sneered, adjusting his cheap vest. You got backup, so what? The HOA still calls the shots here. We'll fine you into the ground, take your property, and blacklist you from every neighborhood within 10 miles. You'll regret resisting. Marcus chuckled low. Funny thing about threats, they only work when the other guy's scared. I smirked, crossing my arms. And guess what, Daniels? I'm not scared. Emily stepped closer, pulling out her phone. Smile for the camera, she said sharply, pointing it right at Daniels. This is all going online. Clipboard guy panicked. Put that phone away. That's an HOA violation. Violation of what? Recording my own driveway? Daniels lunged for her phone. That was the last straw. Before he got within arm's reach, Marcus grabbed his vest and shoved him back so hard he stumbled into the hood of his own beat-up sedan. The impact rattled his fake badge loose, clattering to the pavement. You touch her again, and I'll treat you like every punk I ran into overseas who thought they were tougher than they really were. Daniel's face flushed crimson, but I saw fear creep into his eyes. He wasn't used to real resistance. He was used to neighbors cowering. Cuffs boy's voice cracked. We can't do this. We'll call the real cops. Go ahead, I said, pulling my phone out calmly. Matter of fact, I'll do it for you. I dialed, put it on speaker. The 911 operator answered, and I reported. 3 men in fake uniforms vandalized my truck, threatened my family, and attempted to impersonate law enforcement. That line hit them like a gut punch. Clipboard guy's face drained of color. Daniels barked, hang up that phone. Make me. The operator calmly assured officers were on the way. I ended the call. My pulse was steady now, because I knew how this would play out. These wannabes weren't going to walk away clean. 15 minutes later, a pair of real sheriff's cruisers rolled up. Red and blue lights washed over the neighborhood. The 3 fakes tried to pull their story together fast, babbling about HOA authority, bylaws, special enforcement status. The deputies weren't buying it. One of them, a grizzled veteran with a thick mustache, picked up Daniel's dropped badge, flipped it over, and scoffed. Made in China. You boys think this is a game? Daniel stammered. We were just trying to enforce. Enforce what? The deputy barked. You vandalized a man's property. You trespassed. You impersonated officers. You threatened a minor. Cuffs boy actually started crying. Clipboard guy looked like he was about to faint. But Daniels, he doubled down. His ego wouldn't let him back down. This man's in violation of HOA bylaws. The board will stand behind me. The deputy's eyes hardened. HOA bylaws don't trump state law, and state law says you're under arrest. Click. Cold steel handcuffs snapped onto Daniel's wrists. Clipboard and cuffs boy followed soon after, shoved into the back of cruisers like soaking kids caught shoplifting. The neighborhood had gathered now, porches lined with curious eyes, phones recording everything. Emily whispered, "Dad, the whole street saw this." "Good," I said. "It's about time someone exposed these clowns." But as satisfying as it was to see Daniels and his cronies hauled off, I knew this was bigger. That night, after giving my statement at the sheriff's office, I dug deeper. Emily helped me search online. HOA security forces had been reported in other neighborhoods. Same vests, same intimidation tactics, same bogus fines. Turns out Daniels wasn't acting alone. He was part of a shadow racket, milking homeowners with fear, fake tickets, and strong-arm tactics. And my truck? Just collateral damage in their intimidation campaign. The more I read, the hotter my blood boiled. These guys had shaken down retirees, harassed single moms, even threatened veterans, all under the cover of HOA enforcement. Marcus joined me at the kitchen table. He cracked his knuckles. "So, what's the plan?" I grinned. "We burn them to the ground. Legally, and if necessary, not so legally." The next weekend, I set the bait. I parked my new replacement truck, a pristine F-150, right in the driveway. I left the garage door wide open, boxes stacked neatly inside. A perfect picture of a rule violation. And then I waited. Sure enough, Daniel's crew, freshly out on bail, showed up. Not in vests this time, but lurking, circling in a different car. Marcus, hidden in his garage across the street, whispered into the walkie-talkie we dug out from his army days. 2 o'clock, they're moving. Emily, stationed upstairs with her camera, whispered back, "Got eyes." Daniels creeped up the driveway, clipboard in hand again. His bruised ego practically radiated off him. But before he could touch the truck, floodlights snapped on. "Smile for the cameras, Daniels," I called out, stepping from the porch with a folder in hand. Inside the folder, certified court papers. I'd already filed a restraining order and a lawsuit for damages. "You're finished." Sheriff's cruisers rolled in again. This time, they weren't responding to a call. They were waiting on my signal. Daniels froze like a deer in headlights. His 2 buddies tried to run, but deputies were faster. As they were cuffed again, Marcus stepped out, arms crossed, towering. "Told you we don't play nice." The neighborhood erupted in cheers. People clapped, shouted, even whistled. For once, the HOA bullies weren't in control. Over the next month, the story exploded online. Emily's video went viral, millions of views in days. News crews interviewed us, and the sheriff's office launched a full investigation into fraudulent HOA security. Turns out Daniels and his gang had scammed homeowners across 3 counties. Their fake HOA police empire collapsed overnight. And the real HOA? They scrambled to distance themselves, firing the entire board and issuing public apologies. But it was too late. The damage was done. As for me, my lawsuit went through, and between restitution and damages, Daniels ended up paying me enough to buy a brand new truck and reinforce my property. The best part? Every time I drive past the old HOA office, boarded up and empty, I smirk. Because I know Daniels didn't just smash my truck, he smashed his own empire. And he'll never forget the day he tried to play cop on the wrong man's driveway.